But right now it's still in the planning phase. So there's not much.
Our question.
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
Just show them you see.
I know it's 6 o'clock. We're waiting on one more member to make a quorum. We'll wait here. I haven't heard from Miriam. I don't think anybody else has, so we'll just wait, hold out here for a little bit to see if she shows up. This is why we need people on the committee, just for quorums. This is the second time, and if this happens, it'll be the second time in 3 weeks we had to call a meeting. We didn't have enough people.
They have vacancies currently.
Sure. I was thinking even to the council, their applicants. So we could probably still get by with that.
I was excited.
I'd be concerned about this. Until we convention at some point.
She may be in that 105.
Waiting.
This guy here, she showed up. I had to come. I came to 97. They had
Can you go?
1 inch wig.
Yeah, I can't. I was gonna actually call.
Both sides. Yeah, right there. The true golf course used to be like right there. No, I come from the south. 149.
Cheryl's calling her.
Yeah. 149. Right. I'm from Dobbin.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
So the rule is 50 plus 1. Number 5, 3 members. 3 members. A member leaves, reducing the count to 2. The quorum is lost. So when you only have 3 seats filled, 50%, it's 2 members.
She's coming. It's not official yet.
I got three of them. I thought I got rid of them.
Right there by the.
I got two. Yeah, I think you sent me that last time I asked when I was trying to get a hold of you.
Yeah, he lives in the city.
Well, he's got like 9
I'm over in Convene. Tell me on the first from. I had a meeting with oh really? I'm not that far. I actually want people to assume I think it's a long ways out
So it would expire.
6 acres, 14 acres. 14 acres. 6 acres. And it was, that's really far up a few miles just the other side of and going towards Magnolia. And we were like, oh, man, that's just, yeah, we had just bought our business. My friend had just bought the HVAC side of it. The 3 acres going in or whatever.
Now, right? Yeah, now it's in.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. You got to keep running through.
Yeah, I didn't look at
Like everybody said. You know, I've been watching. We had dirt north. We had but dirt when you put those things. It's so much.
Well, I keep listening to it.
Wall out cost a pretty good.
That's why I do there.
Yeah, I know.
I had a kid broke down on the side of the road. Family first.
Hey, how are you? You running?
I am. Kiddo is broke down on the side of the road and has been all day. Drive shaft dropped out. Have we started?
All right. We're all here. So it is 6:09, April 7th, 2026. I hereby call the order the meeting of the regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission to order. The next item will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Start on top of the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Next item, citizens' comments. The Planning and Zoning Commission will receive comments from the public on any matters within the jurisdiction of the city of Montgomery, Texas. Speakers will have 3 minutes each. Person wishing to participate during the public forum portion of the meeting must sign in and participate prior to the meeting being called to order. Is there anyone, is anybody? Okay, so we'll get by that right now. Okay, we'll move on to regular items. Going into a public hearing. The Planning and Zoning Commission will receive comments from the public on the below listed items. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Persons wishing to participate or speak during the public hearing portion of the meeting must sign in to participate prior to the meeting being called to order. Did anybody want to participate in any of the open? You got, okay, want to bring that up?
You can open up each one individually, and then the people.
Yeah, we'll do each individually. Okay, the first public meeting would be item number 4, convene into public hearing on the preliminary report for a rezoning request submitted by Cornerstone Community Church in Montgomery, development number 2510, related to 2 tracts located within Tract 11 and 12, John Corners Bay, Abstract 8, that is currently zoned R1 single family residential to be rezoned I institution.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Tyler Cooper, okay.
All right, well, I appreciate it. I prepared a statement here, but good evening, members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is Tyler Cooper, and my family and I live at 118 Anna Springs Lane. I'm here today to speak regarding the proposed rezoning of the church property to the north of us and to the shared concerns based on what we've already experienced with prior development on the adjacent church property. A few years ago, after the church purchased, cleared, sodded, and paved the neighboring lot directly behind our home, we began experiencing significant flooding issues on our property, something we had never encountered the first several years of living there. During heavy rainfall events, our drainage ditch and French drain system would be overwhelmed, resulting in our pool flooding with mud and debris and contributing to the deterioration of our driveways. All of these issues began after October 2023, which strongly correlates to the development of that property. To the church's credit, after we raised concerns, a representative visited our property to assess the situation, then cut a drainage ditch between our properties. While that has helped, we have not yet had a major rain event to fully validate whether the issues has truly been resolved. My concern today is that we are now considering additional rezoning and expansion without fully addressing or verifying the impacts of the previous developments. Previously, I raised these concerns with the city and was told that this was a civil matter. However, based on my review of the Planning and Zoning City Council records, the development of that property should have been subject to multiple ordinances, including drainage, site development, and engineering approvals. So respectfully, I believe this is not just a private matter, it is also a matter of ensuring that the city processes, approvals, and oversight are being fully, properly followed and enforced. As you consider this new rezoning request, I would ask the committee and council to ensure that the following before any future development proceeds: that all required plats, permits, and engineering approvals are properly submitted and verified, that drainage studies are conducted and reviewed by the city engineer, that downstream impacts adjacent to residential properties are fully addressed before construction begins, and that there is clear accountability if those systems fail. In addition to drainage, I would also like to address the lack of adequate buffer between the church property and neighboring homes after the significant clearing of vegetation. Currently, the visual barrier and vegetative setback is insufficient, which has resulted in increased light and noise pollutions impacting our property as well as my neighbors' properties. As this expansion is considered, I strongly encourage the council to require a properly desired and maintained buffer zone, including trees, fencing, or both, measures to mitigate light spillover from the parking areas and building facilities, and consideration of noise impacts and from expanded use of the property. I want to be clear, we are not opposed to the church or its presence in our community. We simply want to ensure that any development is done responsibly, transparently, and in a way that it does not negatively impact us or the homeowners who live directly next to it. We've already experienced the consequences of development that may not have been fully accounted for in those impacts. I respectfully ask that we not repeat the situation if this next phase is considered. If anybody wants to come and look at it at our property, you're more than welcome to. I'd be happy to show you around. I have lots of documentation from the first go around back in October 23 through May, June of 24. So if anybody wants to see that, I'd be happy to email it to you, provide that. It was with the previous administration, so don't know if it matters anymore, but nonetheless, I have that.
What did you say? Said you have submitted it to the previous administration?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Which is?
It was at the time Mr. McCorkadall and I can't remember the city administrator's name at the time, but he was the one who came and visited the place and told me it was a civil matter, and then that's where I dug a little deeper, and don't think that all of the processes were followed like they were supposed to be according to what the ordinances state, and then the state, what the charter for the municipal government charters follow. I don't think any of that was done. It feels like it was just rubber stamped with no approvals, and then, you know, we have problems later down the road. So that's it. Thank you.
I do have, I just want you to be aware, as the homeowner behind Cornerstone, I was actively involved in questioning. I did ask about the 25-foot vegetation. I did ask if it was going to cause a drainage problem. I also asked if the lighting was going to bleed over into the neighboring families. And I just want you to know that we were assured that the 25-foot vegetation was going to be adhered to, that the lighting was not supposed to shine over into your neighborhood. And we have an engineering department that works here in the city, and they saw no problem at the time. We'd have to go back to our records when we discussed this. The addition that Cornerstone is asking for, we've not yet, quote unquote, approved.
Right.
They brought it to us as a suggestion with pretty pictures, which, you know, pictures are always looking good. But they have to bring to us a plan, a plot, whatever they're going to do for us to approve that. And I know tonight we're talking about, you know, rezoning it, and I get that. But I want you to feel comfortable when you leave here that the planning and zoning did question. Now, we do have a new administration. We did not get a notification from said neighbor to let us know that this is something that we need to be looking at.
No, I appreciate it, and you mentioned that, so I mentioned I had records. I did quote you from the minutes and agenda saying just that, and to be aware that there was a parking variance there as well, and that, I don't know what that, what all goes into that, but, that was no longer in place because it's now been paved and sodded. So in my understanding and reading this, like, you're supposed to get all kinds of approvals to do that, and nobody could, I put in a FOIA request asking for that, and nobody could give me the information saying that that was done or not. So that's why I say I feel like it was just rubber stamped, that everything was good.
Yes, everything you've mentioned I know I said it.
No, I appreciate that, thank you. Thank
The
you,
parking lot, the whole 9 yards.
excellent.
Part of the rezoning, Zach, can you answer this? Being basically going into institutional or almost commercial, are they going to have a drainage study?
So not necessarily a drainage study. They would have to account for the amount of impervious cover that they are proposing on the site. And so as was previously stated, the city engineer would be reviewing all these plans for compliance with city ordinances and county ordinances regarding drainage. So
they would have to be approved by you.
Correct.
Before any of that permitting would.
Correct, yes, sir.
How about, I know we're running into this up the road, the elevations.
All
The elevations.
site grading, so yeah, as a part of their submittal, they'll have to submit the grading, kind of outlining how they're going to mitigate for that with the, as you said, grade changes between, you know, the high point of the property and the low point, knowing that the low point is towards the northern portion, towards the creek. All of that would have to be submitted and approved by the city prior to any addition to the site being made.
So that would be looked at also.
Correct.
Elevation changes.
Grade, drainage, all that including lighting as well. If they are proposing any additional lighting outside with their improvements, all that would have to be submitted and approved by the city prior to.
And they have not, there's no.
No, they're still going through or with their design team and confirming all that they want to propose within the site. Okay. But to date, we have not seen any design plans for the proposed expansion.
And if we go through with this, they would have to come back with us for all that for approval, correct?
To the city, yes. For planning and zoning specifically, I know there was mention during their presentation about the historic preservation of the site. There may be some that has to go back with planning and zoning for that aspect, but generally speaking, they would have to at least come back to the city for.
Through us before it goes to council.
Correct. If there are any historical components of the development that they are proposing.
So we'll
I
not come back to us.
excuse me, I would like to see, as I don't know about you all, I would like to see the drainage study, the elevation studies, anything that goes on there, I would like to see prior to being approved, if that's possible.
Do you want to say that before we rezone?
And just a reminder, this is the public hearing component, yes. So separate agenda item for the rezoning. But yeah, we can make note of that request.
And the whole crux of me being here is the first set that was the purchase that was supposed to be rezoned, everything he said that was supposed to happen then. Mm-hmm. My whole being here is questioning, was that actually done? And so if this moves forward, fine, no problem with that, but make sure, because the people down the line that are here are gonna experience the same thing. Right. And I would love it to retroactively go back and fix what wasn't right the first time, but that's neither here nor there, so.
Ms. Tilly, did you receive any calls about this situation? Did you go and look at anything that might affect the ordinances? And are you currently looking at because I know I've asked for the reforestation ordinance to come back to us, circle back, because we don't have a good enough one for me, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, have you addressed any of these issues with this particular spot?
We have.
Okay.
I have visited the site. I submitted a report to the previous administration, and that's where it went from there.
Okay. Do we have that on record?
The report?
It is now.
So you know the current administration is Brent?
Yes, I have not met Brent, but pleasure meeting you. Yeah, my dealings were in the past and like I said, they did cut a ditch. You know, I'm not gonna say it's approved or not, but it has helped. But we also haven't had one of those 3 or 4 inch type of rainfalls that typically overrun our drainage system. So until that happens, I don't know if what they did will truly have fixed the problem or not. Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes the public hearing for item number 4. The rezoning request of Cornerstone Community Church of Montgomery Development 2510. Now we'll move on to number 5, convene into public hearing on preliminary report for the rezoning requests submitted by SPT Montgomery LLC, Development 2215, related to 5.7 acres of a western portion of Rigsby Ben J Tract 46H-3 and all of Rigsby Ben J Tract 39 that is currently zoned B commercial to be zoned I institutional. Does anybody want
Just
to?
a reminder, when you're in these, the public can speak, but you really shouldn't talk to them until it's on the agenda.
Right. Any public comment on item 5? All right. We will close item 5, public hearing on preliminary report for the rezoning submitted by SPT Montgomery LLC, Development 2215. Related to the 5.7 acres of the western portion of Rigsby BJ Tract 46H-3 and all of Rigsby BJ Tract 39 is currently Zone B commercial to be rezoned I institutional. All right. We'll open up public hearing, convene into public hearing on preliminary report for the rezoning request submitted by L Squared Engineering related to the 3.252 acres of Corner John Tract 57-D Ward Investments 01 RES A file 2007006890 that is currently zoned PD plan development to be rezoned I institutional. No? Okay. All right. We will close this public hearing for the preliminary report of the rezoning request submitted by L Squared Engineering related to the 3.252 acres of John Corner Tract. All right. Now we will convene into the regular meeting agendas. Item number 7, consideration and possible action on the planning and zoning regular meeting minutes of March 16, 2026.
The only item I had was that I didn't preside last month, so Bill was present. He's marked as absent.
You could approve it, but
Correction?
yeah.
And I'll recommend approval of the minutes from the, I recommend approval of the P&Z regular meeting minutes of March 16, 2026, with the correction of Bill Simpson, present.
Second.
I have a motion and second for the approval of the regular meeting minutes of March 16th, 2026, with the amendment of me being present, actually. All righty. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All no, say no. Motion passes. Okay. Moving on to item number 8. Consideration and possible action on the acceptance of John Fox's resignation. John was how long was he on the commission? A couple years?
Oh, he was on
1 year. Anyhow, he sat in that chair and he has just helped kind of just stepping away for a little while. So he has put in his resignation letter, so we have to go through the acceptance portion of it.
I'll make a motion of the acceptance of John Fox's resignation from the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the acceptance of John Fox's resignation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion passes. I do want to thank John for all his wisdom over business in the city, that he was able to put some light on some things for us. Item number 9, consideration and possible action to recommend appointment to the P&Z Commission as commission members. Okay, somewhere in my stack here.
Are Lisa, Michael, or Danielle here? Are Lisa, Michael, or Danielle here? Do you have
Danielle.
Would you like to speak or?
Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to.
Oh, you don't have to, but.
Just for my application?
Just tell us a little about yourself. We do have your application, but just curious to know you a little bit more. How long have you been in Montgomery?
Okay. My name's Danielle Kelton. I live on Stewart Street. We moved to Montgomery almost 10 years ago for the school districts from Spring. So school districts have been awesome for our kiddos. We have one left. She's a junior. I am a realtor at Top Guns Real Estate, and I've been there I think we're going on 2 or 3 years at that brokerage. We love Montgomery. We love the small town feel, and it's just been a great little town for us. And we want to keep it that way. You know, we love living in downtown. We lived in Waterstone when we first moved here, and I don't know if you know anything about that, but it was a fun little time. So we got out of there, and then we moved downtown, and we love it. So we just like to keep Montgomery, small town feel, and we love, go to the grocery store, you see everybody that you know. So that means a lot to us to have that small town feel and life. You don't get that in Houston anywhere.
So have you ever served on any other commissions with the state or anything like that? Anything in the school district?
No, ma'am. I worked for real estate attorneys for over 25 years, and then I got kind of bored of that job. So I got my real estate license because I already knew pretty much everything except how to sell a house. So I've been doing that since 2018, and it's been great. No regrets on changing my career, kind of, sort of. So
great.
Yeah, I know. Before the meeting, Officer Tilley handed me this, and I wish I would have had this when I signed up, so what I was getting into. But we do zoning ordinances, as you see this evening, subdivision ordinances. We're kind of oversee the historical preservation district. So there's a lot involved in the Planning and Zoning Commission. We just don't make all this stuff up. We have ordinances to follow, and with Zach's advice and the city administrator's advice. So there's a lot to it. And like I said, I wish I would have had some of these insights when
We've been here a while.
I came into the woods, and it took me about 6 months to figure out actually what was going on. So.
Well, I sold 415 Houston Street. It's a historical home, and
okay.
That was it was an honor. I really wanted to sell a historical home, so I got that opportunity, and it was great. Cheryl told me all the stories about that house, and I just love the history of Montgomery and Texas and all of that stuff. So And with my real estate background, I'm familiar with reading surveys and, title commitments, deeds, and all of that stuff as well.
All right. Thank you.
Will we, Mr. Walker, will we be able to meet anyone, or do you want us to blindly vote or recommend people for the two positions? Are we just doing the one position now, or are we doing both? Or?
You can do both. It's going to go to council because that's the way it works. So if you want to pick one, pick two, fill both spots, you can do it either way.
Since Danielle was here this evening,
Lisa.
that was the wrong one.
Lisa or Danielle?
Danielle.
Sorry.
Okay,
My apologies.
don't confuse me. You showed up. That's
huge.
That's a huge thing there. Now, can the other ones, is this if the other two, are they somewhat finished, or can they?
You can recommend them either way.
Okay.
I don't personally know them. I don't know if Tilly had met any of them or not.
Yeah, no.
Can I see?
I didn't know if since Danielle she came here, showed up, we spoke with her, if we could vote on her this evening.
Yeah, you can recommend her.
Okay.
And if you want to recommend one of the others, you can. That'll fill both your seats. You don't have to.
All three are going to the city council? Or
No, the ones you recommend.
I'll say what I prefer to meet. I was approached with both Danielle and Lisa's resume application.
Okay, that'd be fine.
It's Danielle, and you said Lisa?
Then I was the first one. Okay. Then I'll make a motion to recommend to City Council for the appointment of members to the P&Z Commission as commission members. This is correct. Lisa Gregory and Danielle Helton.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to recommend appointment to the P&Z Commission to the City Council. Danielle Pelton and Lisa Gregory. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Candidates pass on up to the City Council. All right. Item number 10. This goes back from our public hearing. Consideration of possible action on the preliminary report for the rezoning request submitted by Cornerstone Community Church of Montgomery, development number 2510, related to the 1 acre tracts 11 and 12 of John Corner Survey, abstract 8, currently zoned R1, single-family residence to rezone to I institution.
Good evening, Commission. In front of y'all have the rezoning application. If y'all have any specific questions for me, I will be glad to answer them. Again, to kind of just summarize what is going on with this development, they are currently going through the rezoning process. So first step is getting in front of P&Z and presenting public hearing and consideration of possible action, which is happening tonight. They will still have to go in front of council with the same timeline, present public hearing and consideration of possible action. So the earliest that they'll be able to get rezoned would be May, based on the timeline, having to submit requests for a public hearing and then separate meeting for the public hearing and rezoning. Again, to kind of just summarize, the developer is seeking to expand the building footprint of the property as we currently understand it. With that, they will be required to plat the additional portions that they have purchased, as well as complete design sealed, engineering sealed plans for our review and approval in adherence to all the city ordinances regarding lighting, vegetative setbacks, grading, et cetera, and would have to get approval from us prior to any additional COs for that building being approved.
The historical part of Cornerstone, right? When they make that addition to it, does that go in with the pot, or is that additional not historical? Is it just the property there where the church is located, not the actual church?
As I understand it from the last planning and zoning meeting, it was the building portion. So if that is the case, then that would, I don't know, this would be my first historical review, but I believe that would get encompassed with the entire review. They could run concurrently or separately, but I believe you would have to approve, regardless, civil is approved first and then your building review. So prior to any historical component being approved by Rick and his team, the civil component would have to be approved, which would again be the foundation and everything below ground. So grading, landscaping, et cetera. And then you would have to go in for building approval. But again, that may run concurrently with the historical preservation component.
The historical portion of that building was actually the bell tower of the church, which is no longer on that property. So that landmark designation kind of stayed there.
And then when we go do our search, we go from that sign over to where the bell is, because the kids still get confused about that, yeah.
Yes.
So it is a historical.
It is still designated, the property itself,
Okay.
not the property that's being rezoned or anything. It's the property where the actual building is located right now is historical landmark. But the actual landmark was the bell that is no longer there.
Yeah, and to the other church, yeah. So in the public hearing, can we talk about the public hearing? What we said in there? So, any considerations that the neighboring houses, are we going to consider anything about that before we change, or is that going to change any kind of, if we change it from industrial to from residential to industrial, is it going to change anything for the surrounding properties that have experienced some issues with the grading, the light, the noise, which we've already mentioned? In the future, we meet once a month. You can just bring it to us, and we can bring it to Ms. Tilley's attention, and she can go out there at whatever time and look at it. And a lot of people don't come to our meetings, but are we taking into any consideration like the retroactive or anything?
So we have discussed that with the property owner, and that's kind of one of the reasons of going through this rezoning process, is making sure that we're reviewing against one set of plans or one set of ordinances for the development. If it were partially residential and partially institutional, we would have to review against both sets, and then that would just make it a little bit more confusing for everybody. So as a part of this rezoning, we will be reviewing against institutional requirements abutting single family residential. So all of those are consistent from or throughout the newly purchased property as well as the existing. We have also been in conversation with staff on the retroactiveness of what was already completed. And so making sure that whenever we do get the submittal from the developer, that we're including everything within that as far as our review. But we would have to.
We have noticed, we did take notice that they started tearing the trees down. And that's
Yes,
that's a no-no, and now we don't know what the 25-foot vegetation is or will be now because of what's gone. I don't know if it's stopped. Has it stopped? Okay, it's stopped.
Yeah, we have addressed that with the developer. Ms. Tilley, ourselves, and Angel, our inspector, have been, again, very close conversations with them on what is required and what would not be allowed. What was our understanding of under clearing, brush clearing from the development turned into something a little bit more. So understanding that that was issued stop work from Tilly and her office. So again, making sure we're all on the same page and playing from the same playbook as to what's required.
Are they fined? What is our fine, or do we have a fine for our ordinances? I mean, in order to put this stuff, we have enough people in here, we're talking, but we hear this stuff once a month, and we're just like going, well, how can we make it stop? We had a house removed, right, and tore down, and no slap on the wrist, nothing happened. And
There was a penalty for that one.
but I'm just saying though, it was after the fact and we have to address it. I mean, the city needs to understand that we're trying to keep the city a certain way, historical, quaint, and you just can't go and say, hey, you know, I'm gonna take down about 5 or 6 trees and not be concerned about the vegetation. So there is no fine for what they did?
No, not at this time. But we did do a stop work on it. We allowed them to clean up what was taken down, but we are watching it closely. And we're making sure that drainage patterns haven't been affected because of it. We're being
And the
very
church is
watchful.
aware?
Yes,
Yes.
they're very aware, yes.
Zach?
Yes, sir.
Okay, since we've got this, they bought the property for rezoning. So any new civil drainage or whatever will have to tie in to the old. The old's gonna have to meet
And account for what was existing.
what's being added. So all that
We'll get roped in, yes.
redone to make it all work right together.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So they would have to address and make sure that what is existing today can be supported by what is being proposed for the future. And again, they're still working out the proposed improvements, whether, you know, the size of the building and the layout and et cetera. So their grading is, you know, to be determined, but we would be making sure that the grading, drainage, all of it works from existing to post improvements of the development.
So if they have to readjust the old,
They would, yes,
they'll have to do that.
correct.
Because that addition, what they told us was 2 bathrooms at least, which 2 bathrooms, I don't know how many stalls and how many sinks are in those 2 bathrooms, because it is a church, and that there would be educational rooms. So that is quite a bit of water.
We've discussed capacity, parking, landscaping buffers, vegetative buffers, all of that with the developer, so they are aware of what we are expecting with their submittal. I think they're just trying to refine what they are actually going to be proposing.
Will the storm drainage be off the current established improvements or off the previous?
So they, and their site's a little interesting, portions of it drain to TxDOT 149 to their west, portions of it drain to the creek, which is to the north. So depending on how their proposed drainage works, from my previous conversations, they were saying that they were completely drained to TxDOT, they would have to obtain TxDOT approval. If they are splitting it between TxDOT and Montgomery County, which would be the creek, they would have to adhere to both Montgomery County and TxDOT. So it kind of just depends on what they're proposing at the end of the day, but whatever they are proposing, it would be whatever the current specifications are for drainage criteria.
So, let me, real quick, Tom. How many homes are affected by the property of the boundary lines?
Based on the current zone, it looks like the church is abutting 3 homes. The proposed additional 2 lots would add 3 additional homes to that. So 6 total homes based on just abutting property lines.
So the new drainage or the civil, that's gonna get the water past all the homes in Buffalo Springs, correct?
I would have to look at the drainage plans. I was not aware of
I'm
the,
not gonna let somebody down here on the end.
get the meat of the, exactly. So based on all our civil review has to show that there's no detrimental impacts to downstream residents or development. So they would have to prove within their plans, whatever we're proposing as far as drainage goes is not impacting negatively any other development upstream or downstream of where they're located.
On to that note, my question was, the grading that you referenced there for that property. Was that, you said it drains to the north and to the west towards 149. Was that prior to the tree removal of everything that was there? Because I think that the tree removal and then the subsequent impervious asphalt is now what has caused the water to go east, which is where our houses are.
We would be looking at historical documentation, so plans for Buffalo Springs subdivision as well as whatever we have for the Cornerstone Church historically. We'll be looking at all of those and determining how it was proposed previously. And so we'll be addressing all of that with our
All
review.
that would be corrected at that.
Yes, sir.
The old parking lot, the old and the new would all be corrected to work.
Based on what historical information and documentation that we can find, yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
So once they bring it into us and everybody's happy, what happens if the land changes with the development of what else is going around? What is the safety net for this resident and those residents if the current, when and if it's approved, it falls down and it starts flooding or it's not working well? Who do these people go back to? The city, TxDOT, county? Who are they? You know, just say 3 years from now, right? 3 years from now, and that's not very long.
Yeah, so
And the rain happens and it tears something up or it starts flooding again. Where do these people go now that have invested all that money in their land and their homes?
depending upon how the drainage works, again, I know there was a mention of a ditch being made, and depending upon the location, it could be on both properties. So there may be an easement that needs to be dedicated from either property owner or both property owners. Outlining the maintenance and future maintenance of that would be a part of our review. Historically, there's been numerous areas within the city where water drains into creeks. All the creeks are controlled by the county, so there's no recourse for the city to implement, but obviously understanding that, you know, these are city residents, city developers, et cetera, there's gonna be instances where the city will step in and try to make things right.
Okay.
But again, it's all kind of determined based on what's been reviewed, approved, and constructed by the city contractor and developer.
And what the current ordinances
Are allowed.
Yes,
Correct. Yes.
And the planned development and whatever's coming up later.
Correct. They all have to talk to each
You
other.
gotta stay here long enough in order to make sure you fulfill what you're promising the people in our neighborhoods, yeah. Well, the church owns the land, so they're institutional, right? It's not a residential, like they'll
Correct.
always be institutional, and it's all the way down to the gas company, or the
The
propane.
propane tanks, correct.
And right now, they're just interested in that small, the 1 acre tract, 11 and 12.
Just directly to the north, correct.
So we're looking at just those two. So anything past that, they'd have to come back again if they wanted to expand.
Correct.
Okay.
And really, the way that lays out, it's more strict than it is residential, so
Yes.
Yeah.
it's so far not a negative thing, and with good review, it should be positive.
If it's residential, they wouldn't have to present us with a,
That's, yeah, that's the point, it's,
Single lot,
Yeah.
single home, it gets reviewed, approved, that's it.
okay.
I will make a motion to pass the rezoning request submitted by Cornerstone Community Church of Montgomery, development number 2510. It's related to 1 acre of tracts, number 11 and 12, John Corner Survey, abstract 8, currently zoned R1, single family residential. And I am making a motion to pass to rezone it to institutional, not industrial.
Recommendation, just go to the city, recommendation to the city council.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second for formal recommendation to the city council for rezoning the property of Cornerstone Church Montgomery Development 2510. Made it to the 1 acre tracts 11 and 12, a job survey. Abstract A currently zoned R1 single family to residential, from single family residential to rezoned to I institutional. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes on to city council. Item number 11 from our public hearing. Consideration and possible action on the preliminary report for rezoning requests submitted by SPT Montgomery LLC. Development number 2215 related to 5.1 acres of western portion of Rigsby Ben J Tract 46H3 and all of Rigsby Ben J Tract 39, which is currently zoned B commercial, to be rezoned I institutional.
Good evening again, Commission. You have any specific questions for me? I'll be glad to answer them. Again, this is for the Superior Properties development that is going on Lone Star Parkway and 149. This is the middle portion of development that's going on. They're proposing a church. Included with this agenda item, you'll see preliminary layout of the site as well as the proposed interior as well.
So they are proposing a church?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what they decided? Okay. Are they still trying to do storage units and houses behind it?
As I understand, they've kind of gone away from the storage. That was what was being proposed in this middle portion of the development, but now it's going to be all the church. So they're still doing the multifamily duplexes on the west side, and then the small box commercial on the hard corner of 149 and Lone Star Parkway. As far as tenants for those small box commercial, we haven't heard anything, but those were more retail than storage, as previously discussed. And then the multifamily duplexes, they're in review right now for approval.
On the 5.78 acres in the middle of Reserve B.
7-9.
Yeah. Oh, I see it. Okay. I just seen commercial on this, and then I looked over here, and there. Okay, that's what I was asking.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be. Okay. And when we put this before the commission, we vote on it, they still have to submit the plans. We're gonna go through the same thing as Cornerstone has to do and all that, okay. I know that we're gonna discuss both these areas, but I just wanna mention again, on Lawson Street, there was Lawson High School. It was an all-black high school. It was historical, and no one is mentioning anything of it, and there's been a little research done. So I just want to make sure that the Historical Society has maybe reviewed it or talked about anything that might be historical within that area where that Lawson High School was. Because, I mean, the older people here in Montgomery, the few that are left, they know about that school. So I just want to say it again so it's on record. So
yes, I do remember the public hearing, or I guess I forget the agenda item. It may have been the development agreement overall on that sentiment being presented. We did put them in contact with the developer, so any conversations outside of that I'm not aware or privy to, but that connection has been made and accounted for.
okay. Is the entrance is coming from Lone Star Parkway, right?
Yes, ma'am. They are proposing pad-to-pad entries as well. That would have to be a separate access easement between the property owners. But that will be worked out separately from this rezoning application.
So there's no buffer, it's just gonna be turn in there?
There would be, as far as a vegetative buffer?
Yes.
Yes, there would be a vegetative buffer between the institutional and commercial, institutional and multifamily, and then institutional and single family on Lawson and Simonton. All that would still have to be adhered to based on the terms of the development agreement. And you'll be able to see, it's not clearly shown on, or it is, but it's patched over with the colors. The 25-foot building line and vegetative barrier between the residential and proposed institutional.
And is there still an emergency entrance in the back for, remember we discussed that too?
That would all be determined by Montgomery County. The latest that I've heard is no.
Okay.
But again, if Montgomery County requires that emergency access, then we would have to allow for that to be constructed. But yeah, currently there is no connection to Lawson at this time.
I make a motion to present to the city council that we consider the rezoning from Zone B commercial to institutional I, requested by SPT Montgomery LLC, development number 2215, related to the 5.7 acres of a western portion of Rigsby Ben J, Tract 46H-3, and all of Rigsby Ben J, Tract 39.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the formal recommendation to the city council for the rezoning of the by SPT Montgomery LLC, development number 2215, related to the 5.7 acres of the western portion of Rigsby Ben J, Tract 46H-3, and all Rigsby Ben J, Tract 39, that is currently Zone B commercial, to be rezoned I institutional. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries to recommend to the city council.
Thank you.
Item number 12, consideration and possible action on preliminary report for rezoning request submitted by L Square Engineering related to the 3.252 acres of Cornerstone, Tract 57-D, Ward Investments 01, RES file 200700689, that is currently zone PD plan development to be rezoned I institution.
Good evening, commission members. This is the Jim's Hardware location. This is just to make it, or clean it up so that it's no longer planned development. It will now be occupied by the municipal complex and police station, and it will be designated institutional so that it meets that type of use, our municipal use.
What was the planned development originally allotted was there?
The multi-use, yep, planned development multi-use.
It has to be an institutional in order to be municipal?
Well, if you look in the ordinance, the municipal parks and municipal buildings are all under the I institutional. It doesn't separate us into being allowed to be in the residential district, being allowed in the commercial district, or in the industrial district, where typically in other cities, municipal buildings can be in those other districts. But right now, our ordinance just states the institution. It does make it easier to review it for setbacks, landscaping, visual screening, parking requirements. signage.
And that'll come before us as well, right? The design and the plans and all that good stuff, or no? Is that city council? Oh, good.
That, I don't even think that that's city council unless we have to go for variances.
Sounds good.
And if it's variances, then yes, you would. Yeah. Like the sign will probably require variance. I don't think parking will require variance, but I don't know. We haven't received the final plans to review.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval to City Council on the for the rezoning request submitted by L Squared Engineering related to 3.252 acres of corner John Tract 57D Ward Investment 01. Number 20070068990 is currently zoned PD development to be rezoned on institution.
I second.
I have a motion and a second for the recommendation of the City Council for the rezoning submitted by L Squared Engineering related to the 3.252 acre corner John Tract 57D Ward Investment 01 RES A file 20070068990 and is currently PD plan development to be rezoned to I institutional. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All no say no. Motion passes. Item number 13, consideration of possible action regarding the request for special use permit to establish a new financial advising office at 15325 Summit Park Drive, Suite 107.
Well, good evening again. So this is item number 13. Ms. Mary Davidson is a representative of this financial advising group, and she's on the line here with us. I guess I could just introduce us a little bit. Ms. Mary, can you hear us? Did you want to go ahead and do an introduction on the business? It's touchy. I could read the letter that you submitted, if that's all right. I don't know if the sound is good. Miss Mary, are you playing the video right now?
I paused it.
Oh, there you go. That's much better. I think that's what was causing
Well,
the
it's
reason.
been paused to you, because it's working now, and I'll keep it paused. So, we continue to believe that the Summit Park Road is becoming a retail, restaurant, and service-based area. We've noticed that a cafe and a nail salon also applied for a special use permit. So this leads me to believe that we are in the right place at the right time before spaces fill up, and also to be included in these other businesses hoping for the same outcome. We would greatly appreciate your consideration and approval of our special use permit application. When we viewed this site, we realized that there was Montgomery County on Summit Park Road, and Chronicle survey, Randstad Road, and Village Cafe. And so upon doing it, we had no idea that this needed a special use permit. So I'm glad that we reached out to me and started this process. And I really appreciate you allowing me to go into Zoom.
So commission members, this is similar to the last two special use permits that we did last month. Again, the property is zoned industrial. And if you look on your industrial use table, the type of use isn't specifically stated as a permitted use in the industrial district. The first zoning district that it would be permitted in is the B commercial. And this is what the special use permit is for then, is to allow the Planning and Zoning Commission to make a determination and see what kind of effect it has on the surrounding neighborhood, what kind of fit it could possibly be in the industrial zoning district, and does it meet the comprehensive plan. Kind of laid it out, again, similar to last month, how this service type of business could possibly help in that industrial business park for all of the other businesses that are there. I listed a few of the conditions again that you can definitely review, modify, adjust it, see as what you see fit, and we'll go from there. And then it can be recommended to City Council then for final approval.
This has all, this has, let's see, what, it's a Suite 107?
Yes.
Has this been divided off yet? So it has?
So what you have is 106 is the nail salon.
Okay.
Suite 107 would be the financial advisory.
Okay.
And then skip 108. Right now it's vacant. It appears to be vacant. And then 109 is a coffee shop in that one building.
Does it have restrooms and?
They have their own facilities in each of the suites.
And adding all this to the water and the restrooms is, I mean, all that's been designed for this building anyhow, correct?
Yeah, this has been previously accounted for in the engineering studies for the overall development.
Overall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What type of financial advising is it? Is it like an Edward Jones or? What type of financial?
So, I can read this. We are retirement planning, estate planning, business planning, investment management, insurance, financial planning, tax planning.
And her special use is because it's zoned industrial and this is not covered underneath that. Okay.
Terry, do you have intended hours of operation?
Yeah, I have to be able to probably 8:30 later at the most.
Monday through Friday?
Yeah, Monday through Friday.
8:30 to what?
5:30?
5:30? 8:30?
Most of our offices are just a straight 9 to 5, but of course, we'll come early and stay late.
Okay.
And then, do you have what's the terms of your lease? How long is your lease? How long is your lease?
The term of the lease.
1 year.
I am looking it up right now.
She's looking it up.
Okay.
It's taking me a bit. The term of the lease is 2020, through 12/31/31. So it's about 6 years.
Okay.
Excuse me, were you able to hear that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
yep. I'm very disoriented here.
it still has the same criteria as we did the others, right?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I think adding financial advising, good, fits our comprehensive plan. Before I make a motion, just so we're on the same page, I was considering the same change of ownership, termination of business, or change in operations.
Yes,
And
just like we did,
set time.
yes.
Then I'll make a motion to recommend approval for the request for a special use permit to establish a new financial advising office at 15325 Summit Park Drive, Suite 107, with the recommendations of city staff, with the hours of operation from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Until such time that either a change of ownership, termination of business, or change in operations in lieu of a set time period.
Okay, I have a motion
I have a second, I'm seconding it.
and a second for the special use permit for a new financial advising office at 15325 Summit Park Drive, Suite 107, with the terms of hours of operation 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and the lease or the special use permit being subject to change of business, termination of business, or change of ownership.
May I just clarify? I think the first motion was 8:30 to 5:30?
9 to
Or are you saying 9 to
She
5?
requests 8:30 to 5:30 because people
8:30.
come in and leave.
Okay, 8:30.
Come in early and leave.
8:30 to 5:30. Okay, all right. Change that. Go. Oh, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes for the special use permit. Okay, item 14. Consideration and possible action on the preliminary plat for Caroline Court, formerly known as Villages of Montgomery, development number 2502.
Good evening again, Commission. So in front of y'all today is the preliminary plat for Caroline Court, formerly known as Villages of Montgomery. If you remember, over the past year or so, they have been coming back and forth with variances for the development. Front yard setbacks, side yard setbacks, lot width, depth, and area. And then most recently, they came earlier this year for a request to vary from the requirement of providing a tree assessment on their property and being withheld to the 2024 landscaping ordinances, which outline canopy requirements for residential development, or all developments, but in this case, residential development. The plat has addressed all of our comments. Just kind of give you an overview of where we are in the project. We're currently reviewing their mass grading and detention. In that plan set, they are proposing tree protection as previously stated by the engineer for the development. And they're currently proposing more than the minimum requirement for the gross property area being landscaped and canopy requirement for such. So canopy requirement for residential areas are 20% minimum canopy for total reserve acreage. They're currently hovering around 33% over the entire development. We're still going back and forth on some comments regarding mass grading and detention, but again, just letting y'all know that they are well above what they are, the minimum requirement is for landscaping and tree preservation and canopy requirement.
Who will be assessing the 33% of the vegetation left?
So as far as what's shown on that, we'll go back and forth and between site survey and what we're inspecting when we go out there for the actual building of the plans, we'll see.
Do a topography or do we do a?
It's all site investigation. And essentially what they're showing as far as this area of tree canopy is being preserved, we'll go out on site and make sure that there is protection and adequate tree preservation being as proposed on the plans.
And that's the old reforestation that we had back in 2024?
Correct.
Okay.
And again, just to clarify, y'all would have the opportunity to review the final plat as well. They're just currently going through the design process for the sections of development.
It sure is some pretty land they're fixing to put a bunch of houses on. Did they get the old barbecue place and then it was the electricity place?
Solomon?
Yeah.
They,
Did that too, or?
I believe that's still existing today.
Mm-hmm. What about that brick house that sits back and the landscaping people owned it before?
That one, I believe, is included within this development.
They're gonna tear that house down and those?
Yes, and that's proposed. The front, obviously, that's abutting 105 is gonna be commercial, then everything behind that would be residential. Yes, ma'am.
Miss Tilly, you wanna call me whenever you go look at trees? I can help out with that.
We can do field trips.
33% isn't much on as much property as they're gonna clear out, put houses on.
I do understand the concern, and I will say from the reviews that we've had, what they're proposing as far as landscaping, it does look quite nice. Again, the boulevard of what's extending for Caroline, it's all landscaped, large trees being proposed. So I do believe the overall product would be something that the city would enjoy.
Okay.
Any retaining walls?
There are retaining walls on the site just due to the elevation changes between east and west. They're right in the middle of two large drainage reserves and the creeks as well. So
beautiful.
They are working against a lot of grade.
Exactly.
Is that as high as we can go with 3 per station?
We can always request for more. That was actually one of the comments that we have on the latest round of review is there any way to protect any additional trees that are existing based on what's being proposed and where open space is? So we are fighting for.
Because I have walked through there, not once, not twice, but a whole bunch.
It is heavily forested.
Yes.
I will agree. And so we're doing our best to make sure that they can preserve as much as they possibly can.
Is it possible when we get the final plat to see what they're protecting?
We can make that included, and so essentially it'll be their landscaping plan.
Final plat, or just for us to see on?
Separate, yeah. We can definitely make that happen.
I know that's outside the requirements of the final plat.
And we do
I think
have
we'd be interested to see that.
rely on what we do have as far as ordinances without overstepping the governing.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval on the preliminary plat for Caroline Court, formerly known as Villages of Montgomery, development number 2502.
We have a motion for the consideration, approval of the preliminary plat for Caroline Street, formerly known as Villages of Montgomery, development number 2502.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Item 14 passes for the approval of the preliminary plat for Carolina Court. Item 15, consideration and possible action on a variance request regarding the placement of the vegetational setback and allowing landscaping within the floodplain for the FM 1097 Retail Plaza development number 2505.
Good evening again. So this development is the development that's just adjacent to the textile improvements that are going on 1097. They're the property directly southwest of that bridge. So what they're requesting currently is variance from the vegetative setback requirement that outlines if a subdivision wall or fence is being proposed as a part of meeting your visual barrier. In addition to that, you have to plant X amount of trees or X amount of shrubbery along with that fence. They are asking that just a fence be installed to provide that visual barrier from any adjacent residential lots that may come in the future. There are currently no existing residential lots to the southeast of the property, but that is planned for future development of single-family homes.
Is that trees, fence, trees?
It would in line with each other. So it would, depending upon how you want to configure it, it would be trees, fence, or tree, shrub. If you go to page, excuse me,
Is there going to be, my question is, the variance is what? We say 25 foot, so what the variance are they asking for?
The 25 foot would be maintained. It's what they're proposing as that
vegetation.
Barrier. Right, so they're just proposing a fence, whereas the ordinance reads that you have to provide a fence, if you're providing a fence and shrubbery, trees, or a combination thereof. And so they're just asking, instead of doing both the tree and the fence, that just the fence be considered. Generally speaking, again, in the agenda packet, you'll see an outline of what they're proposing. My PDF is lagging behind, so excuse me for not having that page number ready.
And I'm here to speak on that behalf as well.
Landscape architect is here if you have any specific questions. And that's part one of the variance request. The second part is, by ordinance, landscaping is not considered within the floodplain. And so that obviously, understanding that their proximity to the floodplain, 100-year floodplain, they're asking that vegetation, landscaping, all of that be considered as a part of meeting their minimum landscaping requirement for the development. And so the development by ordinance outlines that a minimum of 12% of the gross property area has to be landscaped. Whether that's sod, whether that's trees, whether that's gravel, some type of landscaping must be provided. And they're asking that that portion of that falls within the floodplain be added to their count. So they're currently proposing, I believe, one tree in the floodplain?
That's correct.
One tree and then additional sodding. Again, sodding is very minimal. It's the tree that I would imagine people have concern with. There is no issue. It's in the 100-year floodplain, and so that's all about conveyance. So as far as any cut or fill mitigation, they wouldn't have to adhere to that because they're not in the floodway. And again, they're just planting that tree to meet their minimum requirement for landscaping.
And when they bought the land, when we talked about this, they knew about the floodplain, and now they're compensating for the floodplain now, right? They're adding additional, they already knew they had the floodplain, and within the first plan that they submitted to us, they didn't think about a fence or setback or special use, or is this now coming up?
This was all, I don't want to speak for the landscape architect, but I believe this was all considered as a part of their initial design. It's just due to the site constraints and understanding how that creek has changed over time.
Yep.
It's not, or wasn't acknowledged to be that big of a deal as it was today. And so understanding that, they're trying to get ahead of it with these variance requests that are in front of you today.
So is the tree on the property or is it off
The tree is 100% on the property, within 50 feet or so of the property, and it's actually upwards of the retaining wall that is the wall for the pond.
So the owners would have to maintain the tree. I mean, it's their property, their tree. Okay.
And right now, you're asking for just a fence.
Right now, based on what's going on at the rear, the new information for this second round was that the residential was going in. So that easement at the back is what it's going there. So we already have 10 feet of that that's gutted by a public easement. So the way that this property is laid out and completely constrained, I mean, you can clearly see they're putting parking spaces and fitting anything anywhere that they can. And so in looking at what's occurring at the back and allowing the site to function and have multiple tenant spaces, the rear limitations are pretty significant. So there's also a functioning drainage easement that's split. It has to function, and half of it has to come back to our property, and the other portion can go towards the pond and the other way. And so for that whole drainage easement to function, I don't want to plant anything to be an obstruction in that, as well as that is the reason we designed the fence with an open in the middle to allow for that access for public change anytime.
Can you call that up on the screen? Are you able to?
I can stand up and share exhibits as well, whatever works for y'all.
No, I see it. I just want it bigger. That's all. I can see it, but I want to see bigger.
So it's page 94 of 116. And again, as Nicholas was stating, what they're proposing is essentially two separate fences. Between those fences is a existing utility easement that houses sanitary sewer line as well as a drainage easement, both of which would have to be obviously accessible for public access, i.e. Public Works to perform any maintenance on said sanitary sewer. And so the variance from the landscaping in addition to the fence would allow for them to minimize any future maintenance thereof. If they had to dig up those trees, dig up those shrubs, the developer will be responsible for replanting them. So instead of going through all that, they're just proposing the fence.
What kind of fence?
We're actually proposing, it's gonna be a wood fence, but there's actually an existing retaining wall that's required at the back as well. So we're proposing the fence on the retaining wall and the wood fence, but they're both max out at 6 foot height. So visually, at an elevation, they'll be about the same from both sides.
And just for kind of clarity's sake, to 94, for clarity's sake, existing today, there is a berm on the other side of their property. Yes. So today there is no actual, they are proposing an additional visual barrier that's already existing outside of their property.
And you said the adjacent property southeast is zoned to PD currently?
Zoned residential, single family residential. So that would be the future sections of Waterstone. Again, they've been.
Thank you.
Yeah, backed up to the back.
Yeah. We haven't heard any, there's been open records request on kind of what future is planned for that area, but as far as anything submitted to us for review, we haven't seen anything in years.
On that flood zone side, is that where that fence with no cement barrier? My concern is we'll just get a gush, right? We've had it happen before. We're all standing around going, why is it flooding?
Can you show me where you're?
That one, nope, go to the wooden fence, right there. Is that a flood zone right there, or is it a?
So this is where the wooden fence starts and stops.
All right.
So this little bit, basically from about here, we're drainage swailing back to a catch basin over here. And then the rest of this is making its way to the pond through this same channel. That's what was requested, so that's.
So we're not worried about the wetness ruining that fence. That's all I'm wanting, you know, just if it is in a flood zone and it may or may not get wet on a continual basis, you know, the rotting of the fence.
So the portion
this section is not in the flood zone. The flood zone starts here.
Okay.
And this entire portion of the fence, the bottom 4 feet of it is a concrete retaining wall. So it should not have any contact with drainage flows.
And who's in charge of that fence?
That would be the property owner.
Property owner.
The person that owns that property. And there's a, I guess, HOA in this. Is there an HOA in there?
It's commercial, so it's just, all private property.
Okay.
So on that, I guess, left side of the property, that 25 foot right there?
It's all adjacent to commercial.
Okay.
So,
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is our entire private easement, getting all of our utilities back to the property. I can't even plant there.
So yeah, along 1097, it's all resident or commercial, excuse me. Behind these rows of commercial lots is all residential. So the only portions that would have the visual barrier would be on the back side of the property.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So adjacent to that existing berm that's there.
Doesn't really have much choice.
Zach,
But the rock and
who's the engineer?
Amanda, or Buxton Landscape.
You're speaking.
Nicholas Cosmos.
We appreciate you coming in, at least presenting this to us, because
Absolutely, it was a very constrained site, so, you know, just,
we just never know. Like, I mean, the places that don't have water now have water in Montgomery. In the last 26 years, 27 years, it's completely, you know, changed.
I recall when this property first came to us and what was going on over here, where they had no idea what was gonna happen. So we were just kind of like, wait till TechStop tells us what to do.
Yeah.
And they're wrapping up in the next few months. So hopefully what they're proposing as far as improvements will aid with all downstream development.
Are you all able to share? Are they getting some good erosion control measures in there, or what?
We can send the plans.
So you're proposing a fence.
So yes, we're proposing a fence because we are unable to plant back there because of the public easement.
And on the other side, that's the 25 foot is gone with the fence.
Yeah, I mean, the 25-foot line is from here to here.
Yeah.
This first 10 foot is public easement. And I can't recall what that one was. Is that?
The drainage.
Yeah, 30-foot drainage easement. So our 25-foot landscape falls within the 30-foot drainage easement, so.
At least you have a solution. Or presenting one.
I'll make a motion that we recommend approval on the variance request regarding the placement of the vegetative setback and allowing landscaping within the floodplain for the FM 1097 Retail Plaza development number 2505.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and second for the formal recommendation to the city council on the variances relating to 78-162 and 78-188 for the landscaping floodplain for FM 1097 Retail Plaza development number 2505. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Number 16, consideration and possible action on the final plat for Superior Properties development number 2215.
Good evening again, Commission. So in front of you all, as a hard copy, we have the revised final plat for Superior Properties. As mentioned in the earlier agenda item, this is inclusive of multifamily reserve, a middle tract that is zoned, currently zoned commercial, and then another tract to the east of that zoned commercial as well. They've addressed all of our comments that you see in the agenda packet, digital copy that y'all have, and the hard copy that is in front of y'all. So we are recommending approval of the final plat by planning and zoning. And this would go to City Council for review and approval as well.
Remind me, please, did we have a public hearing for anyone and everyone that lived in and around this area?
We did, and that's where the high school came up in conversation.
I just want to say that out loud. Thank you. Because there's no one in the room right now.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're fixing to approve it.
Send out notices.
I'll make a motion that we recommend approval for the final plat for Superior Properties Development number 2215.
A second.
Have a motion and a second for the approval of the final plat for Superior Properties Development number 2215. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Item 16 passes. Item 17, consideration and possible action on a variance request regarding the tree assessment outlined in section 78-167 of the city's code of ordinances for the Briarley development number 2006.
Good evening again, Commission. So in front of y'all today is a variance request for the Briarley, formerly known as Redbird Meadows development. Again, this development consists of 50s, 60s, and 70-foot lots. What they're proposing or requesting today is that all future preliminary plats submitted to P&Z and Council, so sections 7 and 8, which are currently in review, and then future section 9, which will be forthcoming in the next few months, I'd imagine, not be adhered or not require a tree assessment be completed on those sections. What they're quoting and saying, what they are proposing within the development is the preservation of an existing tree canopy throughout the development, consisting of about 65% of what was pre-existing before they got there. So between sections 1 and the final last section of the Redbird development, they're proposing maintaining 65% of the existing canopy, as well as proposing additional canopy with their development throughout the site.
Who's keeping in charge? Who's in charge of watching that? Because the trees, I live close, and I drive very often down there. There is some trees that they kept, and they are nice trees. But some of the trees that they're placing throughout the subdivision, they die and then they'll replace them. But again, in my mind, I know they're developing, they're building, so they're gonna make it pretty for those people that are gonna drive in there. And they've had some trouble with their irrigation and the water coming off the grass and washing it away. They had to put some trees and redo some grass. That property was beautiful and it was just decimated. So for us to give the okay for them to go ahead with 3 more sections, you know, without coming to us for us to observe and to monitor what they are and are not doing in that subdivision, personally, I just don't think that's a good idea for us to just, hey, wave it away and say, hey, yeah, you've been doing a good job. You know, let's go ahead and do your next 3 sections without, you know, having any, I guess, governing hand over it. I understand that they're agreeing to do what they've previously done, but I've sat here long enough where what they've agreed to do and what's being done is 2 different things sometimes. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Just to address your concern, understanding, I guess this is twofold. The development doesn't want to promote any type of subpar product. So to your point, they will go in and replace at no additional cost or additional cost to them, but at no request from the city, those dying trees and sodding and landscaping that are, again, subpar. On top of that, we as the city engineer do inspect these subdivisions regularly and are monitoring landscaping, irrigation plans, all of the 9, to make sure that they are in accordance with what the city's ordinance are requiring. And so we keep a running count from section to section on the building setbacks, the landscaping being promoted and provided, as well as the canopy as well. So there is a running calculation from section 1 to the final and last section as to what's being proposed and provided within the subdivision. And again, you would have the opportunity to review the preliminary plat, the final plat, and at your request, you can request landscaping plans that accompany those if you see so fit. And just to, there's a quick memo or report that was included by the district engineer for these, quoting that the landscaping investments that they're doing per section total $325,000. So again, they are providing and trying to maintain a product that, again, they would be proud of as well as the city.
That's how much the Woodlands Township, I think, little small section there in the Woodlands, that's what they spent for their reforestation, actually. I was part of that, getting those trees in there and making sure throughout that Woodlands Township, that little small area over there by one of their high schools deep in the woods. That's about, it was about a $400,000 job with all the gas and traveling and stuff. So that does sound, with that area coverage where Briarley is at.
Yeah, understanding that
right.
there are 9 sections, so that's almost $3 million in just landscaping. So.
So they've completed a tree assessment of the entire property? It's not per section?
Of the entire property, and then portions of the existing sections 1 through 6. So some portions, section 7, for example, doesn't have existing trees, so there's nothing to submit. And again, the argument that's been made by other developers as well as them is that what would the city do with this assessment? And so we're asking them to take these photographs, document all the trees that are on the site, but again, what are we doing after that? And there isn't any stringent enough language to allow us to say, okay, this tree's good, this tree's bad, replant that tree. But like they are, Briarley in particular, with their submittals, they have kind of outlined that exact thing, table providing what the current condition of the tree is, the name, size, etc., and their plans on either replacement or mitigation, keeping the health of those existing trees in line.
Have you seen what, have you been down that neighborhood?
Yeah, there's an entire park that services sections 1 through 6 that they're proposing maintaining the tree canopy coverage. And that's,
they did a real good job where the graveyard is. Like I'm very pleased with that. I'm just real hesitant to say, yeah, variance.
and again, you can make caveats to the variance request. Just the recommendation needs to be to council with those caveats outlined.
Because the more we give variances away, the next developer comes in and makes that comparison, and then they go, well, you know, we don't want to set a precedence of, oh yeah, you've been doing a great job. You know, we're going to go ahead and just give you the whole approval before they're actually done, so. If we do find something that, when we get the landscaping reports, when we look at that final plat, there can be something that we can suggest to take to city council. Hey, look, we just don't feel like that last section or the last, next to the last section has what we think is reforestation in it, or the proper caring of the plants or whatever. We can instruct them that the variance hasn't been met or
something to that effect. Okay. So city council would end up reviewing and approving the subdivision plans, the civil plans for each of these sections. So they would have an opportunity to, again, make those additional caveats as well. Again, before or after city approval of the plans, there is still a construction phase that's going on where we go out and inspect to make sure that what they're proposing on their plans matches what's out there on site, and nothing is accepted until those punch list items have been addressed.
so they're doing section 7, section 8, and section 9?
Section 7 and 8 are currently in design. Section 9 is a future section. And whether or not they split section 9 out to be section 9, 10, and 11 remains to be seen. But based on the current land plan that we have and confirmation from the developer, the last section would be section 9. And it would consist of all 60s, 50s, and 70s on their lots. again, excuse my digital PDF here, but I believe the last page shows what that final section layout would be. And then the pages before that, so from pages 112 to 116 show all proposed individual lot landscaping, which each individual lot is required to have 2 trees with at least 1 in the front. And then the last page being that future section, which is still conceptual, what that layout would look like.
If they were to buy another property and add a, like you said, another section, would that have to go through this? That would not be subject to this variance.
Believe it would not be, but they would also have to go through a whole development agreement amendment for that additional land acquired. So there would be stop gaps before any approval of plans would be provided.
Right now, the last section is 9, but it could be, if they wanted to,
They could
make it 10 and 11.
Right. So to be specific, their variance request is for all future sections.
So it doesn't say, so if they come in here and they want to do 10 and 11, we won't know the difference. We just said yes to the future.
Between the original development agreement outlines the property boundary of the development. So if they're purchasing land outside of that, that would come back to y'all for review and approval of that amendment to the development agreement. So outlined currently, the preliminary plats for future are only confined to what's currently owned by Johnson Development, which is the Briarley development.
I'll make a motion that we recommend approval to the city council requesting, on a variance request regarding the tree assessment outlined in section 78-167 of city's code ordinance for the Briarley development, future sections, I'm going to say under the current development, development number 2006.
I just feel real strongly about giving an open book, not to do it.
Well, you kind of have to look at their track record.
Yeah,
It's not it's not a new development coming in.
That's what I'm considering. I'm like, man, I just feel that open book and open broad is something I'm not a fan of. I will second it based what Bill said is consistently they have been doing what they said they're going to do and making it right and making it fix. But I'm saying second it to section 7, 8, and the final 9. I'm being specific just in case they decide to do 10 and 11 later.
7, 8, and 9.
Yes. Stick to what they verbally said so we can, are written down.
So you're seconding it.
Yeah.
The current.
We don't want a landslide.
Yeah.
Oh, they approved that, let's do the rest of them.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second for formal recommendation to the city council for variance related to section 78-167 for the Briarley development number 2006 for the current and future section 7, 8, and 9. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Not current, yes.
Yeah, okay. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll get down to the closing agendas. Anything commission inquiry?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Wait a minute, hold on. We gotta get to 19 first.
Okay.
Go ahead, read it.
I've been doing good so far.
Sorry, let me.
Nothing there. Item 19, any consider placement on future agendas? You want anything on future agendas? Okay.
I do have a question. Our new proposed commissioners, it goes to city council next. So when would we say the oath and have them here for a full panel?
Probably by the,
It'd be on the April 28th city council for resolution, so it would be the May meeting.
So can we, and you'll automatically put that on the agenda to get some new members in here. Yes.
Okay.
because your next meeting's
Motion?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay. we got a
I
mo-
second that motion.
We got a motion and a second to adjourn the April 7th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
I do apologize for being late, but I do have a child on the side of the road broke down. So,
Zach, I'll need you before you leave.
Yes, sir.
thank you. Cheryl called me, she goes, you coming to the meeting? And I was like, I'm on my way.